Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. We are jumping into a topic that honestly throws a lot of people off when they first dip their toes into digital assets.
Yeah.
It causes, well, quite a bit of confusion.
Absolutely. And it's not just for beginners, The space moves so fast, and these terms, coin and token, sometimes they feel interchangeable, but they're really fundamentally different.
Right. And you, our listener, you've actually sent us some fantastic sources to help really sort of shine a light on this specific crucial distinction, the difference between crypto coins and crypto tokens.
Exactly. So our mission here in this deep dive is to take those sources you shared, unpack them, and just make this distinction crystal clear. Explain what they are, how they differ, and maybe most importantly, why getting this difference matters so much.
And matters so much is definitely the key phrase. One of the sources kicks off with this really striking story about someone named Omar. He apparently lost quite a bit of money simply because he didn't grasp the nature of what he was investing in. He thought he was buying one thing. Right. Turned out it was something else entirely. Different properties, different risks, the whole deal.
Which tells you straight away, this isn't just like academic or technical jargon. Understanding this can literally be the difference between making a smart move and, well, a costly mistake in this crypto world.
So think of this deep dive as your shortcut, maybe. We're going to pull out the absolute core insights from the material you sent us to get you really well informed on this this vital difference. Let's unpack this. Okay, so starting right at the basics, your sources give us a really helpful analogy, a way to think about this. They suggest comparing traditional money, like the US dollar or the euro, to what we call crypto coins.
Yeah, that analogy works pretty well because just like dollars operate within the US financial system, crypto coins are native to their own blockchain. They're independent. They are the fundamental currency, the core asset of that specific network.
Got it. So the sources point to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. Those are the classic examples, right? Each one has its own dedicated infrastructure, its own blockchain network that it runs on.
Precisely. Now, tokens are presented quite differently in the sources. They're described as being more versatile. Think of them like digital vouchers, maybe, or even shares in something.
Okay.
They are assets, yes, but, and this is key, they are built on top of an existing blockchain. They don't have their own independent one. Ethereum is like the prime example of a platform where tons of different tokens are created and live.
Okay, so that seems like the first huge difference right there. Coins have their own blockchain home. Tokens are built on someone else's property, essentially. The infrastructure.
That's exactly it. That's difference number one. Infrastructure. A coin needs its own blockchain just to exist and work. So creating a new coin, that's not a small task. It means building an entirely new distributed ledger system, from the ground up.
Which the source material says is technically really complex and pretty expensive, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're building the financial system for a tiny digital country.
That's actually a great way to picture it, yeah. You're building the roads, and the first car designed specifically for those roads.
And creating a token is, well, not that complex.
Definitely not that complex. Tokens leverage the existing roads. They rely on a blockchain someone else already went to the trouble of building, like Ethereum. The sources mention you can whip up a new token surprisingly quickly, sometimes like in minutes.
Wow, minutes.
Yeah, by using these established technical blueprints or standards. You probably heard of ERC-20 on Ethereum. It's basically a common set of rules that helps ensure different tokens can work together smoothly on that network. So you're just creating a specific kind of vehicle, or maybe a ticket, that runs on roads someone else already built and maintains.
That infrastructure difference is really clear. One's the foundation, the other's built on top. Does that difference in structure then lead to a difference in what they're actually for, their purpose?
It absolutely does. And that's the next major distinction your sources really hammer home, their primary function. Coins, generally speaking, are designed mainly as a means of payment or as a store of value. Think about Bitcoin aiming to be like digital gold, or Ether needing to be used to pay for transactions, the gas fees on the Ethereum network itself.
So their main job is fundamentally about money, or keeping their own specific chain running.
Exactly. Tokens, though. Wow, they are way more diverse in what they can do. They can represent ownership of, say, real-world assets. You could have a token representing a piece of property digitally, or maybe even commodities.
Or they could give you specific rights within a project, like voting power.
Yes, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Voting rights in what they call DAOs. decentralized autonomous organizations where token holders vote on the project's future. Or tokens can grant you access to specific services or features within a particular app or platform. Their utility goes way beyond just being digital cash.
So they're more like tools or keys or shares, but all built on an existing blockchain. Okay, that variety you mentioned, that must be why the sources then break down the different types of tokens.
It is, yeah. And looking at these types really highlights that versatility. The sources list a few main categories. First up, you've got utility tokens.
Okay, and the example given for that was the BT token, right? Basic attention token.
That's the one, used in the Brave browser. So utility tokens are designed specifically to give users access to a service, a product, or some feature within a particular ecosystem. With BT, for instance, you use it within the Brave browser ecosystem for things like rewarding users who opt in to view ads or for tipping content creators directly.
Got it. Then the next type mentioned was security tokens.
Right. Now, these are much closer to traditional finance. They actually represent ownership in an underlying investment asset. Think like equity in a company, or a right to a share of profits from some venture. They often carry rights similar to stocks or bonds and are usually subject to securities regulations.
Okay. And then, of course, we heard a lot about non-fungible tokens, NFTs.
Ah, yes, NFTs. The key word there is non-fungible, meaning unique. Unlike a Bitcoin, where one Bitcoin is identical to any other Bitcoin, each NFT represents ownership of something one of a kind.
Right.
The sources use digital art as the common example, but really it could be anything unique that can be verified on a blockchain, concert tickets, virtual land, proof you own a specific collectible. It proves sole ownership of that specific unique item.
Makes sense. And the last category they covered was stablecoins.
Yeah, stablecoins tackle the volatility problem you see with many other cryptos. Their main goal is to maintain a stable value. They're usually pegged, often one-to-one, to a traditional currency like the US dollar. USDT or Tether is the example given.
So they try to give you the benefits of crypto, like easy digital transfers, but without those wild price swings you see with Bitcoin or Ether.
Exactly. It aims for stability within the crypto ecosystem.
Okay, that covers the main types pretty well. So, big picture. You have the foundational coin, living on its own blockchain, acting mostly like money or fuel for its network. And then you have this whole universe of tokens built on existing chains, doing everything from powering apps and granting access to representing unique digital items or tracking the value of the dollar. This distinction feels really fundamental.
It truly is. And the sources stress this isn't just some minor technical point only developers need to care about. There's a quote in there from Andreas Antonopoulos, a well-known Bitcoin educator.
Oh yeah, what did he say?
He emphasizes that knowing whether you're looking at a coin on its own chain or a token built on another chain is absolutely fundamental to understanding the economics, the governance, even the security model of any crypto project.
Because where it lives, its infrastructure, affects basically everything else about it. Its dependencies, how secure it is, who controls it.
Precisely. And then there's this other perspective in the sources from a blockchain developer named Steven. He shares this really practical, almost cautionary insight about why this matters so much, especially if you're thinking about investing.
Right, he was the one talking about seeing people buy tokens just because the price per token looks really low.
Yes, exactly that. He points out that a lot of people get drawn in by a low unit price, maybe fractions of a cent, without having any clue about the token's actual function or its real value within whatever project it belongs to.
Okay.
And he uses this brilliant analogy. He compares it to buying tickets to an amusement park that's already permanently closed down.
Oof.
Yeah. The tickets might be incredibly cheap, right? But they're worthless because they don't actually do anything. They don't grant you access to anything real or functioning.
Wow, that's a really powerful image. Buying this digital thing that might have zero actual purpose or utility in its own supposed world.
So, okay, how does knowing this difference actually help someone when they're, looking at a project, maybe thinking about putting money in? The sources give some guidance, some questions to ask.
They do. It suggests applying this understanding starts with asking some really basic, fundamental questions about the asset itself. First off, is this thing a coin with its own independent blockchain? Or is it actually a token that relies on another platform like Ethereum or Solana or something else?
Okay, step one. Know its basic nature and infrastructure. That tells you a lot immediately about its complexity and independence.
Right. Then second, what is its actual function? Forget the hype for a second. What is this asset genuinely designed to do within its project's ecosystem? Is it meant to be used for payments? Does it give you voting rights? Is it needed to access a service? Does it represent ownership of something tangible or intangible? What's its job?
And the third question was about need, right? Exactly. Third, is there a real need for this token to perform that function? Does this function actually solve a genuine problem or create value that couldn't be achieved some other way? Or is it just kind of a digital token slapped onto a project without a real purpose, like Steven's useless amusement park ticket?
Those three questions seem like they could cut through a lot of noise and maybe marketing hype.
Definitely. And what's interesting is how the sources connect these questions back to a very traditional, very famous investment principle. They bring up that Warren Buffett quote.
Oh, never invest in a business you don't understand.
Yeah.
That one.
That's the one. And the sources basically say, look, apply that exact same wisdom to crypto. And the absolute first step to understanding any crypto investment is understanding the fundamental nature of the asset itself. Start with, is it a coin or is it a token?
Yeah.
And what is its real world or maybe digital world utility?
So wrapping up this deep dive then, the core message hammered home by your sources is pretty clear. Knowing if you're looking at a coin, which is the native asset of its very own blockchain, mainly used for payment or storing value, or if you're looking at a token which is built on an existing chain and can do a whole bunch of different things, that knowledge is absolutely foundational.
It really is. And as the experts in the examples like Omar's story or Steven's analogy show in the material you sent, taking that crucial first step to understand this basic difference is essential for making informed choices in the crypto space and potentially for avoiding some really painful mistakes.
Yeah, it just boils down to knowing exactly what it is you're actually holding or considering investing in. Its fundamental nature.
Which leads us to a final thought to leave you with, drawn directly from the implications in your sources. Given how comparatively easy and cheap it is to create a new token using existing blockchain infrastructure, I mean, especially when you compare it to the huge technical effort and cost involved in building a brand new coin and its dedicated blockchain from absolute scratch.
Right, that difference in effort is massive.
So what does the relative ease of token creation imply? Does it suggest maybe we need an even higher level of scrutiny when we evaluate a specific token's claimed function and whether there's a real genuine need for it? Does Steven's analogy about the potentially worthless amusement park ticket become even more potent precisely because the barrier to just creating tokens is, relatively speaking,